Hi, hello. Welcome to the episode of Isaiah's Newsstand. It's your host, Isaiah Edwards. The date is August the 22nd, 2025. Hopefully, this episode finds you well, in good spirits and high hopes. As for me, I'm doing pretty good. Happy Friday to ya. Hopefully the Friday energy, it catches you. Hopefully you're feeling good, you're feeling well. Whether you're listening to this on a Friday or you're listening to this on a Monday, whatever. But my day, it's been good. It's been solid. We woke up. I got a good amount of sleep today for the day, which felt good. That being said, I still wound up tired, but so it goes. When you're 34, I don't know, it just starts hitting you sooner. It just is what it is. And I'm a busy guy. What can I say? But no, we got up. We went to work. Work was good. I felt like this was the first day where it really didn't feel super slammed, super busy. So that was nice. It felt like we just kind of got to catch up, which was good. Nice way to close out the work week. No problems. Post work, we went to the gym. And this is where I would say if there was any kind of caveats, any kind of problems, we hit them there. We hit them at the planet. So I go in ready to lift heavy. I pumped up on my monster. Yeah, I'm tired, but I'm rallying. I'm ready to go. Let's get this shit. And I go to set up the 3 plates just like last week because I'm ready to go. I'm ready to let's go. We're gonna do this again. Same shit. Let's lock in. And I go to try to lift it, and I get no motion. I cannot move it. I cannot do anything on it. And I'm like, what? And I'm upset. I'm internally freaking out a little bit. I'm trying not to show it, But, I pop out and then I go, okay, don't freak out. It's okay. Yeah, is that a failure? Yes, it's a complete failure. We couldn't even lift it this time. I feel like the unworthy guy trying to yank Excalibur right now. And so I'm like, well, let's just, lower the amount, and we'll go down to 275. We've done that before. We're gonna be good. I go to lift it, I get it up, and immediately I'm hitting the safety pins, and I'm like, you've got to be kidding me. What is happening? Where is my strength? Who am I? I'm so weak now. Well, I didn't do anything. Nothing has changed. And I was a bit defeated internally. Once again, I'm beating myself up. I don't know what to do. Should we try to go again? And I'm like, no, it's okay. We have the whole weekend to try again, and it's okay if we don't get it. That's all right. So I just lowered it down to 225, and we were able to hit that, which, that's still a dub. That's still heavy lifting for me. I still feel good about that. It's just a bit disappointing starting your weekend not getting anywhere close to the lift that you wanted to hit. And I don't have any real reason for it. Maybe it was just a mental block. Maybe it's just because I'm tired coming off of work. I don't know. It just is what it is, though, and it happened. And, after that, I was a little in my head. I didn't want to max out on the free weights. So I actually, on the rest of the Smith machine, I just didn't go hard. I went to 275 on my squat. I went to 275 on my deadlift, but I didn't go beyond that. And then when I went to the free weights, I just did 65, 55s. I just wanted to play it safe from there. I didn't want to I'm today's kind of scrapped. It's kind of chalked. So let's just get through. And, we'll hopefully be able to hit it harder tomorrow, and it'll feel good tomorrow. We'll see. I'll keep you posted, of course. Now, let me tell you about the second little thorn. It's just a surprise. It's something I didn't have on my damn bingo card. And I'm at the gym every day, right? So I see all kinds of people. I see all kinds of regulars. And there was this guy. And, I've seen him around before. Seems like a cool guy. I see him talking to people, whatever. He hasn't talked to me. That's okay. Plenty of people do not. That's not what I'm getting at here. But, I see him on the treadmill, and I actually notice the tank top he's wearing, and he's wearing a President Nayib Bukele, just tank top on. And I'm I was stun locked. It took everything for me to not just stare at him like he was a Twilight Zone character. Because I am in Ohio, right? I am at a Planet Fitness in Ohio. How in the world am I looking at a Nayib Bukele fanboy Like that just doesn't make sense. And like I know I'm kind of pulling this name out of the aether for maybe, some people, even my longtime listeners, maybe, just you're not really cueing that name, but it's gonna matter for this episode in a bit, just because we've talked about CCOT, the fucking counter-terrorism fucking gulag jail situation, detention center, whatever they're fucking calling that situation, that we've been, America has been deporting people to in El Salvador. Well, the president slash dictator, whatever, that's Bukele, right? That's a little quick refresher. I know I'm very bad at that, but whatever. So I'm just looking at this guy and I'm like, I cannot believe I'm seeing a Bukele fuckboy right now, like in the flesh. Like, I I didn't know what to do. So I get over to the Stairmaster. They're on the treadmill, whatever. I just keep it moving, and there's no reason to make waves. But I haven't been that stun locked. I haven't been that shocked since I saw the guy in the Proud Boy shirt, like from way back, months ago. He still goes to the gym with his little broomy, bushy ass fucking beard. Like he's still in full effect. He's still getting his fucking pump on. But it's crazy, man. Like that's some international fuckboy shit to me, man. That is literally the equivalent of like an Andrew Tate fan or something, like just rocking that shit proudly, like very top G behavior, I guess, whatever. So that was interesting. Threw me for a bit of a loop, but the rest of the workout got done, the cardio got done. So there we go. Awesome. But yeah, you learn something new every day about people if you just sit and watch them. That's the gym is definitely a good reminder for that. But before we get into our startup, I want to mention again a book that I mentioned earlier in the week, and it was the Fort Bragg Cartel by Seth Hart. I think I'm getting that name correct, but definitely Seth Hart. Look that shit up. I just got into it. I mean, I've put a few hours into the book already, or at least a couple hours into the book already. It's amazing, y'all. Like this is probably my book of the year. I mean, granted, I haven't read much this year, sadly, unfortunately, whatever. But I was just drawn to this because it's like the way it was told to me, like just some of the stories and stuff that they were pulling from the book when I was listening to podcasts this guy was on. I was like, damn, this is very fascinating because it's giving you this very narrative story, and there's a focus on one guy in like who's in special forces, and a whole situation, like a murder cover-up situation that more or less starts the book off. And then throughout the whole thing, they're making ties back to the war on terror, multiple presidents. I remember I even referenced that. I'm like, yeah, like the whole having our boots on the ground but never having our boots on the ground thing, like that shit started like not even just when I said Bush, I was thinking George Bush, but like no, dummy, go further back, Reagan and like fucking H.W. Bush. Like that's really where the shit like started in terms of like the streamlining of that to where we are now, where you really just have like these crazy fucking just drugged out fucking ready to murder dudes who are just all over the fucking country, more or less being soldier spies, whatever the fuck like we need them to be in the moment. And then we just like have them come back home and they're just chilling in the States. What are they to do? Well, they find things to do, that's for sure. So, I mean, definitely I don't want to like read too much in the book and make the podcast about that or whatever. It's just I'm already very enthralled by this, and I definitely would recommend it. If you've got the time and you want to read a new book, I would definitely say that. I believe, yeah, it is the Fort Bragg Cartel. Definitely ties a lot of things together in a really very interesting way, and it's very illuminating for sure. So yeah, I wanted to mention that book. Wanted to talk about my fucking day. So yeah, let's go ahead and do our startup and let's get into some news. Whew. All right. Our first story comes from NBC News. 5 on tour bus killed when it careens out of control in Western New York. 5 people were killed and dozens were injured when the tour bus they were on in Western New York, New York State, careened out of control and flipped on its side on an interstate. The bus was transporting more than 50 people on a return trip to New York City after traveling to Niagara Falls and the U.S. Canada. Why do I do that sometimes? It's so funny. The U.S. Canada border when it crashed. Multiple children were hospitalized but avoided serious injury. New York State Police Major Andre Ray of New York State Police said Friday night. The bus, also described as a charter, was headed east on the interstate in an area about halfway between Buffalo and Rochester when it crashed about 12:30 p.m., officials said. State police said 52 were on the bus, with many trapped, rescued, and rushed to hospitals. Authorities later said some of the injured were thrown from the vehicle. God, that'd be so fucking scary. Riders included people from the United States as well as from China, India, the Philippines, and the Middle East, Ray said. Translators were dispatched to the scene to help first responders communicate with the victims. The ages are not available, at least as of this article. And we don't know exactly what happened, but it is believed that the driver got distracted at some point and then lost control and overcorrected. That's what we believe. But they did, I think, do the best they could to not hit any other vehicle, which, I mean, you got to give credit to that. And I mean, I definitely get, I'm sure anyone with a driver's license who has driven a long time, that it is very easy to get distracted. Not to say that it absolves anything, but we don't have all the details, what have you. But, seems like the driver did try to do the best they could in that situation, that moment. But, yeah, I just wanted to start off with that. Obviously, condolences to people who lost their lives, people involved in this crash. Not to be that shitty fucking podcaster that makes everything about themselves. But one of my coworkers that I talk to, comes through on a daily basis, and I've gotten to know them. They had told me, hey, I'm going on vacation. And they went to Niagara Falls. This was a few weeks ago. And I'm just thinking damn, I wonder if they could have been in a situation that that could have happened. That could have been a close to home thing. Obviously, I'm very glad it's not. That was a very cool coworker. And that is I would even say a friend. So it's nice. But yeah, it's definitely unfortunate that you're just, you're coming back from this fun, very scenic, nice trip. And then literally your life is turned upside down. And just the bus that you're coming, off of that from. So that's intense. It's wild. But let's move on to our next story. This is where the Bukele tie comes in. From The Guardian. Kilmar Ábrego Garcia released from criminal custody after court order. Kilmar Ábrego Garcia has been freed on Friday from criminal custody in Tennessee so he can rejoin his family in Maryland while awaiting trial on human smuggling charges after a court ordered his release. Magistrate Judge Barbara Holmes issued an order allowing the father of two to leave custody for the first time since his return to the U.S. in June, following his wrongful deportation to El Salvador earlier this year. In a statement following his release, Ábrego's lawyer Sean Hecker said, "Today, Kilmar Ábrego Garcia is free. He is presently en route to his family in Maryland after being unlawfully arrested and deported, and then imprisoned, all because the government's vindictive attack on a man who had the courage to fight back against the administration's continuing assault on the rule of law. He is grateful that his access to American courts has provided meaningful due process." Let's see. I mean, there are obviously more details. We've talked about the story before, but I did mention CCOT, which is the Terrorism Confinement Center, or CCOT, where Ábrego was physically and psychologically tortured, according to court documents filed by his lawyers. I mean, meanwhile, we had Trump in the States, going on interviews saying, look, he's got these MS-13 gang tattoos. Look at him. He's a thug. He should be there. And it's dog. It was crazy that they were holding firm on that, and they were not trying to move ground, saying, we can't get him back. We just can't. They literally, we talked about this, the fact that they had him on a plane, the judge said, bring him back. And they're oh, we can't, sorry. Oh, it's just it's too much. And literally the fucking, what is it? Emil Bovey, another guy we've mentioned, was literally no, these motherfucking flights are running. Fuck them. So it's crazy that throughout all of this heel digging, this fucking dragging, and then now they're trying to about face and say, well, we're going to arrest him and then charge him for human smuggling, which, I mean, you can argue the merits of that, in terms of like you're basing this off of one traffic stop where there was a lot of people in the car and he's coming off of a construction job that he's had for decades. Well, he was definitely smuggling for fucking, gangs or some kind of human smuggling organization, and we're going to prove it. We knew it all along. It's like, that's not why you fucking had him in the first place. It's not why you fucking put him on a plane and sent him on send him to CCOT. So, I mean, okay, this is all very stringy and dubious at fucking best, but I mean, we'll see how this goes. I honestly am curious too, in terms of the concern is, and I think another reason why he has been in custody for so long is the fear that ICE was just going to take him the second he got out. So, I mean, they kind of mentioned that to a certain extent here. In a court filing this week, his lawyer stated that they had hired a private security firm that has experience providing court-approved pretrial transportation and security services and criminal cases to transport Ábrego from Tennessee to Maryland. So he's going to have some kind of escort that is hopefully going to be some kind of shield here. But I mean, these motherfucking ICE agents are on some Scooby-Doo ass bullshit. They be hiding around corners. They be coming out from out of the walls. Like, it is whatever. They be coming out of the goddamn Penske trucks. So, I mean, I don't know, man. It really is like the full force of the administration, trying to fucking get these people deported so they can have better numbers, bigger numbers, better president, at least according to them. I don't know. But I am happy to hear that Ábrego is out and he's able to, have some moments with his family. Just like with Mahmoud Khalil, like, I can't imagine having to be going through this where you literally are just trying to live your life every day, and then you're just getting snatched up by some fucking American boogeymen. And they're like, you don't belong here. We're sending you far away. And in Ábrego's situation, he not only was detained, but then sent far a fucking way to a terrible fucking place. And now he's back, and he's able to still fight, and that's good. That is, like, sadly, a highlight story so far. But, I mean, I just can't imagine that for him, for everyone going through that fucking shit. And, once again, that is why I feel motivated to have these conversations, and bring this shit up and talk about this shit. I'm not the best fucking person to talk about these fucking things. I'm sitting in a shitty-ass armchair, okay? But, like, I have the ability to, so I want to. You know what I mean? So, at least until this fucking orange motherfucker takes it away from me. So, anyway, speaking of goddamn Donald Trump, we got to talk about him. We got to go into the Trump first. I mean, we're already there. We're living it. We're breathing it. We can't escape. Anyway, yeah, this is going to be a bit of a read along, so let's get ready. I'm going to wet my whistle. We got to talk about Ghislaine. We got to talk about Ghislaine Maxwell and her, and some of her friends. Some of her besties. All right. A little bit of a wah-wah break. Okie dokie. From the Associated Press. Takeaways from Justice Department interviews of Epstein's former girlfriend, Ghislaine Maxwell. In the hundreds of pages of transcripts from Justice Department interviews of Ghislaine Maxwell, the former girlfriend of disgraced financier Jeffrey Epstein spoke glowingly of President Donald Trump, called him a gentleman in all respects, and describing him as a friendly with Epstein. Yeah, I wonder why she's going to spend this entire fucking time in an interview glazing the guy who could potentially free her, who inevitably, either directly or indirectly, is the reason she goes from the fucking one shit prison that she's in to now the fucking Martha Stewart style prison camp that she's in now. But let's dive in. Let's continue. Both Trump supporters and his Democratic opponents have clamored for documents about the case to be made public. In the transcripts released Friday, Maxwell also details what she knew about Epstein's interactions with other high-profile men, including former President Bill Clinton, current Health and Human Services Secretary Robert F. Kennedy Jr., and Britain's Prince Andrew, saying she never observed untoward behavior from any of them. Like, So you're telling me in these leaked things, she not only runs defense for fucking President Donald Trump, she runs it for the whole goddamn squad. It's crazy that she got to get something for nothing. TDLR here, that's the fucking takeaway. But I do want to actually get into like most of this shit because I just feel like it's worth the read. But yeah, let's go through some of the takeaways. Let's go through some of the breakdown here. What documents were released by the government? The transcripts are from interviews Deputy Attorney General Todd Blanche conducted with Maxwell last month. The sit-down came as the Trump administration scrambled to present itself as transparent amid backlash among even some of Trump's most loyal supporters over a perceived broken promise to release more information on Epstein's case. Trump has faced questions about a long ago friendship with Epstein, and as his administration has endured continued scrutiny over its handling of evidence from the sex trafficking case. The ire peaked when we've already know about the client list and, not releasing shit, release the list. Anyway, Blanche later interviewed the imprisoned Maxwell at a Florida courthouse. And now we can just kind of get to that. The transcripts show Maxwell repeatedly denying under questioning from Blanche that she had observed Trump engaged in any form of sexual behavior. Maxwell recalled knowing about Trump and possibly meeting him for the first time in 1990, whenever her newspaper magnate father, Robert Maxwell, who's also a whole ass piece of fucking shit, and we could do probably multiple fucking podcasts about that guy alone and how that guy goes out. I would definitely, once again, suggest tuning on if you want to know more details about the Maxwells. Was the owner of the New York Daily News. I may have met Donald Trump at that time because my father was friendly with him and liked him very much, Maxwell said, according to the transcript, saying that her late father had been fond of Trump's then wife, Ivana, because she was also from Czechoslovakia, where my dad was from. So these motherfuckers are fucking fast-ass friends. Like, that's why I love being able to find photos and of just them, like, kind of cheeked up, just being homies, because they know each other pretty goddamn well. So you would think, like, okay, this is already a bias on top of that, let alone even if, like, the man was fucking president. But that's on top of the fucking fact. So it's like, why are we going to be taking this as any kind of gospel any fucking way? But, I mean, here we are. As far as I'm concerned, President Trump was always very cordial and very kind to me, Maxwell said. I admire his extraordinary achievement in becoming the president now, and I like him, and I've always liked him. So that is the sum and substance of my entire relationship with him. Also, another thing, too, that I find very interesting about this is her being like this and not, like, being forthcoming, essentially just being very rosy about her description of him, I honestly think is more damning to people because it forces his base to, like, swallow the bullshit down and be like, okay, so they talked to her and she didn't have anything to say, brother. This is all water on the bridge now for me. Are you serious? You know what she got out of this. You got to watch it happen live. So, like, what do you mean? Like, no, clearly, once again, she just gave a rosy review of not just Trump, but all the people you think are terrible people and involved in something nefarious. And you're like, nah, it's okay. Yeah, no, I actually buy this version now that she said it like that. Like, that's crazy to me if you're buying that. To me, it's wild. Like, once again, clearly this is a move. But, I mean, okay, I guess it's at least an olive branch to give, once again, to your base, to all the people who are upset and want this information. Well, here's the information. See, didn't we tell you there's just nothing here? There's just nothing. You know, you're looking at ghosts. It's like, no, you're looking at fucking bullshit. But let's continue. Maxwell told Blanche she didn't know how Epstein and Trump met, nor how they became friends. I certainly saw them together, and I remember the few times I observed them together, but they were friendly. I mean, they seemed friendly. Maxwell said she recalled only seeing Epstein and Trump in social settings, not private settings. Bullshit. I don't believe that either. Asked by Blanche if she ever observed Trump receiving a massage, she answered never. But there has been, testimonies from people saying, like, yeah, he was in the room, he was leering at me, and then Jeffrey goes, yeah, no, that's not the girl. Like, that's not for you, bro. That's not your girl for today. Like, that's crazy. I'm paraphrasing that, obviously. But, like, so these things aren't lining up. But once again, she's saying, I didn't see it. I didn't witness it. So, okay, I guess. I actually never saw the president in any type of massage setting, Maxwell said. I never witnessed the president in any inappropriate setting in any way. The president was never inappropriate with anybody, and in times that I was with him, he was a gentleman in all respects. Just a bang up man. I don't know. Gosh. Let's see. Maxwell estimated that she hadn't seen Trump since mid 2000s, again in a social setting. Asked if she ever heard Epstein or anyone else say Trump had done anything inappropriate with masseuses or anyone else in their orbit, Maxwell replied, absolutely never in any context. Maxwell said she and Epstein would go to Trump's Mar-a-Lago club, often separately. That's nice. Though she didn't say specifically when that was. She said she loved going there and that Epstein would maybe go himself to the spa. I certainly did. It's also been on the record, even from Trump himself, that Epstein did go to his Mar-a-Lago spa. So much so that he was poaching the girls, and that it is alleged that he was poaching Virginia Joffe. I'm pretty sure we mentioned that part of the story. So that's wild that once again you're just so out with this. Like, it was just so candid how friendly you guys fucking were. But no, not that like that. I never saw anything bad. If I did, I would have cut it off eventually. I would have cut it out immediately. What am I saying? No. And it's like, brother, there's literally multiple cases. And then it was around the second time where you go, okay, we're done, But all right, but here we are. Anyway, you're the president saying you're going to fucking get rid of this shit. You're going to shine light on this shit, right? Anyway, let's see. While being quizzed about which powerful men were friends with Epstein, Maxwell told Blanche that Epstein did know Robert Kennedy Jr., who leads the Health and Human Services Department under Trump. Maxwell said they went on a trip together, dinosaur bone hunting in the Dakotas in the early 1990s. And I gotta pause again, I'm sorry, but this sounds like the most Robert F. Kennedy Jr. ass fucking thing to do. We already know this motherfucker takes dead whaleheads with his whole fucking family, fucking Griswold style, and tries to take that shit home. So of course he wants to go with the fucking Lord pedophile and look for dinosaur bones. He's trying to do some Land Before Time shit, bro. That's crazy. I don't need the Lolita Express. sorry. I'm sorry. Oh my god, dude. It's just so weird too. Imagining someone like Jeffrey Epstein just being this guy as a friend to all of these people. Just getting so tight with all these people. Just weaving this way. Yeah, Rob. Yeah, man, let's go fucking bone hunting together. Just doing all this shit, man. He's the darkest fucking anti-Forrest Gump. I don't even know, man. Just creepy. So Anyway, but speaking more creeps, more freaks. Let's see. But yeah, she also says that she never saw anything inappropriate with Mr. Kennedy. So she's saying, yeah, they went bone hunting, but that's it. That's it. Everything else was kosher. Maxwell spoke favorably of Britain's Prince Andrew and dismissed as rubbish the late Virginia Joffrey's claim that she was paid to have a relationship with Andrew and that he had sex with her at Maxwell's London home. Even though we literally have pictures of that sweaty motherfucker, Maxwell, and Virginia in the same fucking room, dude. Okay, that was just cool vibage. That was just a cool vibe night, He just sweated on me in this fucking club. We just kind of chilled. Roll the spliff? No, he did what he fucking did. He did some ill fucking shit. Are we kidding? But once again, Maxwell is denying reality here because she's nah, not even now, even me behind fucking bars. Nah, it didn't happen the way that she said. Ugh, okay. Also, we have to read this part. She denied introducing Epstein to Prince Andrew using a British idiom to describe how she felt they wouldn't have anything in common. I couldn't imagine them being friends. Two chalk and cheeses would never. I mean, for real, there's nothing there to connect them. Well, sadly, I could think of something disgusting and disturbing, but yeah, starts with a P, really. I think it's maybe that's their tie. Maybe that's their overall overlap. But crazy. I don't get that phrase. Two chalks and cheeses. What does that mean? If I got any UK blokes across the way, any UK newsies, chime in, governor. I need you. To me, my Londoners. I don't know. I wish that was a thing I could say. Sorry. Anyway, let's move on. Maxwell questioned the details of Joffrey's claim. telling Blanche that she wasn't even in London when the purported sex happened. Rather, she said she was in the country celebrating her mother's 80th birthday. I like when she gets like really specific about certain details, and then she goes, I can't really remember when they met or like how they met, but like motherfucker, you were his confidant. You were Epstein's whole ass confidant. We know you know, but like okay, once again, play spotty with the memory if you want. Once again, I cannot stress this enough. She floated this whole ass conversation to an actual, like a government fucking administration official, and it lands, and it gets her what she fucking wanted. At least something. I mean, I don't think this gets her a pardon. I think for sure you're hearing all this shit. There's no way that this was going to be something juicy enough to get her a pardon. But who knows? Maybe Trump does at the end of this fucking thing or sooner of his term. That would be insane. But like already she got to this fucking low stakes, fucking low security ass prison camp. We've already discussed this. So she already got what she wanted here. Joffrey became an advocate for sex trafficking survivors after emerging as a central figure in Epstein's prolonged downfall. The prince settled with Joffrey in 2022 for an undisclosed sum, agreeing to make a substantial donation to her survivors organization. Let's see. Asked about trips she went on with high-profile men, Maxwell said it was difficult to remember details as they became a blur. So that's what I was saying earlier, where she's just spotty with what she really clearly remembers. And after a while, you know, and the incredible job that you have, all of you, that when you're so high-pressured and you're spending so much time with extraordinary people, like you do with like you do with President Trump, it can be a blur, she said. It just does. Can you imagine hearing that, reading that, and going like, but you know what her job is, y'all. Like, you know what her real job is. And she's just like, yeah, you know, it was just such a blur. And, you know, you're hanging out with people like Mr. Donald J. Trump. I just don't think this helps him. I don't think he released his transcript. I don't know, but they did. Blanche pressed Maxwell on whether she knew certain high-profile names, such as Elon Musk. She definitely fucking does. And former New York Governor Andrew Cuomo. He's still running. He's still trying. We really want this motherfucker to lose, man. God damn. Him and Eric Adams got to take another L, please. Anyway. Maxwell said she met Musk around 2010 or 2011 during an event for the co-founder of Google that Epstein did not attend, and then saw Musk again later at the Oscars. Maxwell told Blanche she was friends with Cuomo's ex-wife Carrie, but had only met him a few times, and she didn't think Cuomo knew Epstein. Maxwell said she had no recollection of either man flying on Epstein's plane or ever visiting their homes. Maxwell's interview wasn't only helpful to Trump, but also another one-time White House occupant with Epstein ties, former President Bill Clinton. Maxwell told Blanche that Clinton was initially her friend, not Epstein's. That was my guy. Clinton was my guy. I'm cool with the Clintons. I put him on, okay? All right? I put Epstein onto them, all right? And that she never saw him receive a massage. Nor did she believe he ever did. So he's like, he's not that kind of guy. Okay, everyone believes that. The only times they were together, she said, were the 24 or so times they traveled on Epstein's plane. That would have been the only time that I think President Clinton could have even received a massage, Maxwell said. And he didn't, because I was there. This is just so cooked. This is so cooked. She ran S.H.I.E.L.D. for so many fucking dudes, and I don't think that is even helpful. I don't think that was a vibe that anyone is gonna like and really be like, okay, well, this is all water on the bridge now. But we'll see. I mean, there's gonna be more. I know I lightly talked about, but Congress did like subpoena the Clintons, several motherfuckers to come. We'll see who potentially shows up. If that's going to be vaporware or not. So yeah, I mean, we'll be definitely back to the story, but we got to move on. I know I dwelled on this a lot. It was a bit of a read along, but goddamn, fucking Epstein summer ass shit, bro. I'm sorry. Anyway, from CNBC, FBI raids home office of John Bolton, former Trump National Security Advisor. FBI agents on Friday morning raided the Maryland home and Washington, D.C. office of John Bolton, the former national security advisor to President Donald Trump and staunch critic of the president. The raids are part of a national security investigation in search of classified records, a person familiar with the matter told NBC. The probe is eyeing multiple instances of the use of classified documents and leaks to news media. The investigation began during the Biden administration, but did not go further before President Joe Biden left office in January. The FBI agents were seen exiting Bolton's office on M Street with boxes in hand around 1:40 p.m. Eastern Time. A person close to Bolton told NBC they believe the raids are in response to Bolton's frequent criticism of the Trump administration, which includes his book, The Room Where It Happened. It's retribution, pure and simple. Now, Bolton served as Trump's national security advisor from April 18th to September 2019. And he just kept clashing and disagreeing with Donald Trump. He was one of those people who was like the guy in the room telling him no. And that was very Trump term one. Like, you see that there are much less guys in the room like that. And any of the guys who are like that have to go above and beyond a way to kind of give him like a tugger, give him like what he wants without like actually like blowing up America, like, you know, by like tonight or tomorrow. And they kind of find a way to ease him into changing or about facing some crazy thing that he wants to have happen. Because that is still happening in the White House. But it's definitely not happening as much. And guys like Bolton are fewer and farther between and much more diluted. They are way more yes men. They are more or less way more loyalists in the fucking room, just saying, yeah, Trump, we're good. Let's make this happen. Or like going out of the way to accommodate what they think Trump even wants, which is a terrible thought. But that being said, this got him fired. More or less. I mean, he was forced to resign or what have you. Of course, you know, just like, and there was a big wave of this shit, and it happened before I, was podcasting. But like this wave that I remember of guys who essentially got fired by Trump, they resigned, left, whatever, and then they write some shitty ass fucking book about like how I, stood the test of time. Or like, they always come up with some dumbass fucking title or some fucking narrative way of like how they were a fuckface who agreed to support this administration, this fucking bullshit, and then got in the fucking pilot seat and realized, oh, I can't put a leash on this fucking dog that is the president of the United States. This dude just wants to go crazy, and like I can only do so much. I can only hide things from this guy for so long. I can only kite him around off of some other shit and like stroke his ego so much. Like, this guy really does want to press some buttons. He really wants to do some crazy shit. And like, I can only do so much. And like, that's my book. Here you go. Give me money, please. I guess a real airport banger. I don't know, man. But, is this politically motivated? Yeah. I think for sure. Like, you got Kash Patel and Pam Bondi, tweeting and retweeting each other, talking about like, yeah, we're going to get to the bottom of this stuff. We're going to, no one is above the law. At FBI agents on a mission or on mission. Justice will be pursued always. Like, okay, Scam Blondie. All right, we hear you. You're on it. You're on it for Boss Man. And I think that this might be a bit of the difference, right? Is in term one, because I was thinking about this. In term one, Trump had, when things were getting crazy, oh, yeah, maybe I will go after, Hillary Clinton. I'll lock her up. Well, that was a campaign promise. I'm going to see to it. But it was like, dude, you don't have any real beef here. Like, there was nothing, like, you had some haters. You had some people who obviously didn't vote for you, whatever. You were anti the media because they were railroading you, whatever, blah, 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 blah. But, like, enemies, you didn't really have. But then you generated some within your own fucking camp, like I said, of these Michael or, John Boltons or whatever. You know what I mean? I don't know why I say Michael Bolton, my bad. But like, and you go, oh, okay, so yeah, you're against me. You're over here writing this bullshit against me. You're calling me fucking stupid. So like, now he actually does have people, like a whole little stable of people that he can actually go after and pick up and then say, hey, I'm going to prosecute you. I mean, they're potentially looking at Jack Smith, who is a special attorney. They're looking at potentially, making some moves against him legally. Letitia James out of New York, who prosecuted Trump. Also, this is a bit of side news since we are just kind of the Trumpers. He got an appeal on the case that Letitia James's prosecution team won. So that's going to be now being revisited. Like it's currently being discussed, I guess, amongst judges, and they're going to figure out what they're going to do with it. But essentially, he did win the appeal now, and that's like I think it's almost $500 million that he was going to have to pay up, something to that effect. And he's skating away off of that, so that's good. But I mean, it's being decided. What are we going to do about this case now that we have appealed that part? Should it even be retried? Should it be thrown out? You know, can you even retry it now that he's president? Like, you know what I mean? So that's a whole fucking thing. But yeah, like he's got enemies. He's got fucking enemies this time, and not just people that are like, you know, I don't like her. You know, she's so stinky, stinky Hillary. I don't know, but like he actually has people who he can now say, no, you wronged me, and I'm gonna see you in front. I'm gonna see you in court. You know, just like you put me in court. You know what I mean? So the vibe's a little bit more aggressive. The drum beat's a little harder. But yeah, we'll see what happens with old John Bolton, you know. But I mean, he's okay. You know, he was literally just calling President Trump fucking stupid. And it has been mentioned too. He mentions it here, and I've heard other people say this too. And I agree. Trump wants a Nobel Peace Prize. And that's kind of, I think, the only reason that he wants to push for some kind of ceasefire, some kind of peace when it comes to either the Ukrainian-Russia conflict or the Israel-Gaza, you know, Israel-Palestine situation. He wants to get some kind of dub there that gets him a fucking Nobel Peace Prize so he can be on his, like, peak Obama shit. I think that would really, like, you know, put a nail on it for him. It really put a bow on his hair. Or his hair piece, whatever. Hair system, it's a whole thing. Anyway, we are going very long, aren't we? You know, not too bad. You know, it's a bit of a bigger episode. We have one more thing I wanted to cover. It's pretty light. This is a bit of culture news that's been going and making the rounds, and I just couldn't help myself, and I had to just hop on it. So, yeah, we gotta go to Cracker Barrel. We gotta put in an order. Anyway, let's go ahead and do our last break, and we'll close it out. Ooh. All right. Our last story comes from CBS News. Cracker Barrel loses almost $100 million in value as stock plunges after new logo release. Cracker Barrel shed almost $100 million in market value Thursday after its stock plunged following the release of a new logo. The new design eliminates a long-standing drawing of an overall-clad man leaning against a barrel in favor of a cleaner logo featuring the chain's name. So it is just now a generic Cracker Barrel fucking word logo. I have it in the thumbnail. But yeah, someone made a post, and I'm quoting here, so you can't come for me. You know, I'm not being anything here. But they said they took out the cracker and the barrel, and like, what do you have now? What's left? I'm salty. I was salty when I read that. That was good. That was a good one. But I kind of thought that was going to be it, right? I thought people were just going to make some fucking jokes about it and move on. But people on the right have gone berserk. Like, they have found a way to get mad about this. And they're acting like by taking this man and the damn soda cracker barrel out, that we have now stripped society of something. We have taken away an American value, a core system of sorts. As if this man was actually Atlas, holding up not just the Midwest, but all of America. And I'm like, what are we talking about here? When's the last time you ate at a goddamn Cracker Barrel? I can recall the last time I went, and it was actually like for a date. I'll be fucking real. I had a date at a Cracker Barrel. Actually, it wasn't even a bad date. I got a smooch. So I was actually not bad. It was pretty cool. I would run that back. But that being said, what did I eat? I have a staple. I have a staple order when it comes to Cracker Barrel. I get the griddle cakes and some bacon. That's pretty much it. I would say a known quantity that you can get at Cracker Barrel is the chicken and dumplings. They're pretty good. But everything else to me is just kind of like, it's almost background food. Like, you know, they got some chicken, they got some of this, they got some of that, they got some kind of pot pie ass stew thing. I don't fucking know. It was never anything that I was going hog wild for. But I mean, it's a restaurant, and it's something that maybe you go to after church, or you go to for like a weekend with your family. You sit on a rocking chair because that's what your grandpa likes to do while you wait, or you peruse the fucking knick-knacky ass fucking shit that you can buy. Someone equated it to a fucking hot topic for old people, and I was like, that is very fucking true. I've not worked at a Cracker Barrel, but I have worked at a Hot Topic, and the vibes are very, very similar. And most of the Hot Topics are very small, so there's not much room. Very equivalent to that section of the Cracker Barrel. It's very condensed, and it's full of knickknacks and just you can say maybe cool shit, I guess. Another staple for Cracker Barrel for me, because at this point I'm just waxing poetic. I don't really give a shit about, but like, you play the little peg game, that was on the table while you wait for your food. That's fun. That's iconic. But yeah, taking $100 or $100 million fucking loss in the stock game for a logo, that's crazy. That's wild to me. Now, apparently Cracker Barrel hasn't been doing too good since I think like 2024. The numbers were not looking great, and this is the last thing they needed. Cracker Barrel's growth, which soared in the 1990s as the chain expanded, has slowed in recent years. For 2024, the company reported revenue of roughly $3.5 billion, up to 0.8% from $3.4 billion the previous year, while net income fell to $40.9 million for a year, down from $99 million in 2023. That's a lot of numbers. For its most recent quarter, the company reported revenue of $821.1 million, up slightly from the $817.1 million in regulatory filing. Some more blah, blah, blah numbers that are making my eyes glaze over. But I mean, shit, you had even Matt Walsh, who was like, like one of the big top conservative little talking head guys who loves to just say all kinds of crazy shit and radicalize the most weird things. Saying that he's just like, yeah, this is just generic, and you know me, y'all. You know me. If I get the chance and I remember and I got the fucking time, which I did today, I was like, I want to talk about this shit. So I got to survey a couple of people, and I got my little knuckleheads, and then in my favorite department, I'll say that, and I survey a couple of them, and it pretty much leads to me asking damn near everyone there, but like one person, and it starts with like the one guy, because he eats out a lot with his family. And I asked him, and he immediately had a response. He's like, I hate it. I think it's stupid. I think it's silly. And he talked also more to the details of not just the logo rebrand, but the fact that some of the stores are rebranding and they're changing and they're not the same. He's like, yeah, the mugs, there's not as many mugs. And then another friend, another coworker, whatever, chimed in. He's like, it's the same. What are you talking about? Like, it's not that different. Like, I went there recently too. And they just had a quick little back and forth. Then of course another guy comes in, and this person, I need to preface, has never been to Cracker Barrel. He literally says this after he starts talking shit. And also is a Fox News fan junkie. Of course, he loves his President Donald Trump, his savior in orange. So, he's just going to parrot whatever the fuck he just read or heard today. So I was not surprised to hear this take. But he, like, immediately slides through, like, fucking Kramer, because, like, they're actually working while I'm talking to them. And he's like, yeah, Cracker Barrel is like gross anyway. Da da da. And honestly, he was kind of cooking, because like I said, I go to Cracker Barrel and I get one thing, because I trust that one thing. Okay, I know it's not gonna do me dirty. The syrup's a little runny, but it's fine. We can make do. Bacon's good. It's solid. I'm like, honestly, it beats IHOP. But I was saying, like, where I kind of agreed with dude, I'm like, yeah, I think the only thing I don't like about this logo is it's a sign that maybe you're giving up on your little kitschy little branding, and you're trying to, like, yeah, attract younger people and stuff like that, which means you don't believe in what you're selling anymore. And it can kind of be a canary in a coal mine for people. There's also other people in the business, in the marketing business, who go, you should never, ever change a logo like this, because it's just so iconic. It's just what you guys are. And to change it just seems so not right. It makes it uncanny for people to go there. And like, I can kind of get that or whatever. I personally, though, went to Burger King anytime they changed their damn logo. I didn't even notice when McDonald's changed theirs. If Wendy's took the ginger out, the little redhead or whatever, with the mom collar, I would still try to go get a fucking porn star Baconator. You know what I mean? Which I don't think it's a hot take, but I think the Baconator is the porn star of sandwiches, of burgers. That is my hill. That's my TED Talk. welcome to it. We're leaving it now, but there's more. Maybe I'll put that on Patreon. But no, it is one of those things where I'm not too tied to it as long as the branding isn't like gross or weird. Like why would you change it to something worse? But like just something basic vanilla, I tend not to give a fuck. Once again, the food's still gonna be the same goddamn food. I don't know if they're trying to backtrack and say, oh, well, like, we're changing the branding, but like it's still going to be on the menus or da 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 da. I don't know. We'll see how. Like, I mean, I don't think they expected to take $100 million stock loss, so maybe they might about face to the social pressure. Bring back our cracker and his barrel. Okay, that's it. That's really all I have. I'm running long. I'm so sorry. This is a fat episode. It's girthy. But that's it. That's all I got. If you'd like to help out, support the effort, I do have a Patreon. Patreon.com/ZaneNews. Become a newsie today. Free ways to hit me up at zanenews1@gmail.com. Feel free to follow me or the podcast on any of the socials. Subscribe to the YouTube. Boop, bop, boop, boop. Hit that like button. Follow on TikTok. Follow on Spotify. Follow on Apple Podcasts. Whatever platform you like to listen on. Super cool if you do that. Leave a comment as well. Sharing is caring, and all of the stars are appreciated. But truly, just thank you for listening. If you made it all the way this far, you're a real trooper. You're a champ. Hopefully, I covered your drive to work and maybe back to work. That'd be cool. Maybe you're splitting this up for your nighttime listen and maybe into your daytime. That would be dope. You get a full day. Maybe me talking and yapping at you. Or maybe you're just one-shotting this. Ooh, that's crazy. That's wild. I don't even do that. I mean, I do it once as I do it. That's crazy though to think that people are listening to that. I'm sorry. I'm losing it. I'm getting heady. Anyway, thanks so much for tuning in. Thanks so much for being a friend, and hopefully I see you soon for some more good news. I love ya. Bye bye. Mwah.